Hello my friends and welcome to Flying Circus Models. This kit was sent to me as a present from one of the subscribers. Thank you very much, Mark, that's an amazing gift. He said that I have too many German planes on the channel and I need to add some Andante ones. So I decided not to put this kit on a shelf and start it as soon as I finish my Fokker D6 project. As you can see, great quality from Wingnut wings, just as usual. However, one of the inner struts was damaged, but it's very easy to fix. I selected a plane with the number 18 on the side. Even though it didn't fight during the war, it was too late when it arrived. However, I really like to have camel on camel and the blue nose. Fuselage sides have pin marks on the visible side, so I decided to use a super glue as a putty. After it dried, I sanded each part to make the surface even. After I drilled holes for the internal rigging, that will be done after a paint job. The metal parts of the fuselage were painted black first and then with armor aluminum color later. Also, I painted wooden and linen parts with Mr. Hoppy sand color, as well as the seat. To paint wood on the inner parts of fuselage, like floor, instrument panel, and other wooden parts, I used yellow ochre, oil paint, and flat dry brush. Once oil dried, usually takes 2-3 days, I covered all parts with a layer of future. Then I painted instruments in black, brass, aluminum colors and applied decals. The wicker bucket seat has a structure in plastic, so I used a brown wash to show it. Now it's time for the internal rigging. I use the same nylon wire as for all my models, as well as needle pieces. I put the wire into the drilled holes and fixed with the super glue. The kit has for the edge seat belts, so I bent them prior painting, so the paint would not scratch, and painted with Mr. Color tan paint. All parts are coming together very nice and smooth. I really like how Wingnut Wings designs, or actually say designed their models. That's so clever. One more thing I forgot to mention is the wires to the rudder. I attach them prior this step in the same way how I usually do the rigging. Put the wire through the medical needle piece. Finally, the cockpit is ready. I had to remove clergy intake pipe details from the both sides of the fuselage because my prototype had a GNOME engine, which had only one air intake pipe. Also, I drilled the hole on the left side of the fuselage for it. Moreover, I drilled holes for all control wires that go to the tail section. The machine gun section was assembled and painted with Mr. Hobby gunmetal color. As you notice, sometimes parts fly away during the painting process. Let me know in the comments if you have the same problem. Then both fuselage sides were glued together, and when the glue dried, I attached a bottom wing. The top wing has 3 sections, so I glued them together and let it dry on the table so it will be even. The top part of the cockpit was painted in the wood with oil paint, and it was glued on its place. Even though it's a great model, I still had to sand joints. As usual, I used 400 grit sandpaper first, 600 after, and 800 as a final finish. When all sanding job was completed, I covered the model with the gray primer Mr. Surfacer 1000. To add some shades for linen on the wings, I cut a lot of stripes from Tamiya masking tape and applied them on each side of both wings, tail, rudder and ailerons. Then I made a pre-shading with Mr. Hobby black color. Once paint dried, I removed the masking tape and you can see a great contrast on the wing ribs. The bottom of the fuselage and wings were painted with Vallejo BH color. I tried to put very thin layers to have that shade effect visible. All top sides of the wings and fuselage as well as left and right sides, were painted into Mr. Color dark green color. That's my vision of Royal Flying Corp PC-10 color. In my opinion, there is no right PC-10 color because it varies from plane to plane, period of the year, and could be in a variety of different shades of green, khaki, and so on. Anyway, I also try to put very thin layers of the paint, same like on the bottom sides. The engine cowl and wheel covers were painted in a blue color, as per my prototype. I decided not to use a decal for the US nation marks and just painted them with the preceding effect that hadn't been completed prior. The wooden parts were painted as usual with oil paints and sand color as the base. I used a flat dry brush to paint the wood structure. The oil paint was burnt umber color because based on the picture the wood is quite dark there. After 3 days, oil dried, and I removed masks, and you can see nice looking and realistic wood panels. In order to prepare the model for decals, I covered it with the layer of Future. When the model dried after the layer of Future, I started to apply decals. The first step is to add microset on the place where the decal will be, then place a wet decal. Remove all air bubbles with a cotton stick and cover the decal with microsol solution to make it softer and it can repeat the shape of the plastic better. Same steps with all other decals on each side of the fuselage and bottom sides of the lower wing. Once decals dried, I covered them with one more layer of Future in order to protect them and remove any steps between the paint and the decal. The next step is to drill machine gun barrels. As usual, I used a brown water-based wash to show oil leaks that every rotary engine had. As you can see, I used my airbrush with just air to add splashes and oil lines. The good thing with the water-based wash is that you can easily remove it if you don't like the result. Even though camels didn't have turnbuckles on their rigging, and in general their rigging was a bit different from other Great warplanes, I decided to combine my usual type of rigging and just drill in small holes and glue in wire into them. So I drilled holes in the lower wing, cut small pieces of copper wire and made anchor points. Then I glued them into the holes with the super glue. Same process was completed for the top wing. I use 0.6 millimeter medical needles, cut them with a triangle file, and I use the same process for the rigging that you can find on the video of how to complete the rigging, and I will put the link into the descriptions. And the rigging is completed. I can't say it was very complicated for this model, but you need to be very careful with the pre-drilled plastic anchor points on carbon struts. The amount of plastic wingnut wing left was not enough to hold the tension, so I had to use a lot of super glue and wait until it dries. After I put wheels on their places and glued wheel covers. Then I added a bit more oil leaks on the landing gear. The propeller was painted in wood, and again you can find the video of how to in the description. When oil paint dried, I masked wood and painted with light gray color. To add more realistic wear, I used black wash on the propeller hub. Okay, then I glued a rotary engine and the cowl, then added more oil leaks on the cowl and used dry pigments to make wheels and bottom sides of the fuselage a bit dirty. The final piece is to glue the propeller, and I can say that the model is completed. As usual, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, press like button and leave your comments below. I read and reply to all of them. Also, if you would like to support my channel, you can do it on Patreon, where you can see my videos early. Also, I share some interesting pictures there. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching and see you in the next builds.